Welcome back to Resi Upload Training. In this video, we're going to talk about scheduling, and we're going to merge all of the other pieces that we've talked about with event profiles, events, and social media all into one place, where we'll now discuss how to automate all of the flows that we have for scheduling and moving things across. So there's two ways to schedule an event. One is by clicking on the date and click schedule, or you can do this up in the corner if you have another date in mind that you don't see right away. So let's do a live schedule first. Even though you select live schedule, you have the ability to change the schedule type if you change your mind. For this purpose of the video, we'll create a test schedule description. From here, we can use either the event profile name, which we discussed in a previous video, the event profiles, or we can use the schedule's description of the event. We can enable and disable the event, which when we edit a schedule, we can do this as well. What's great about the status in disabling, say you want to skip an event for 1 week, but you don't want to delete the whole thing, you can just disable it and then re-enable it the following week. Another way to do this is you can change the start date of the actual event. You can select the encoder for the live. So we would select Lexington. You'll select the profile. So this here will actually engage the encoder on the live schedule and tell it to fire up and start receiving a signal. The encoder event profile, the date you want it to begin, reoccurrence, along with what the interval of days is for the reoccurrence. You can do up to 28. And if it has an end schedule, you can select that. The time you want it to start, what time zone you're currently in, and how long you want the encoder to stay open. Reason you would do a live schedule, this would be for, say, a Sunday morning if you were streaming the service out to your decoders as well as online. This is a very beneficial piece to the puzzle, allowing you to automate that process. Instead of hitting the green start button, you're able to start your encoder automatically, so you don't have to actually worry about somebody clicking a button, which is really nice. From here, you can also create web events for your live schedule. So again, we'll go with a test description. And this is where we had talked about in previous videos about the web event profile name versus the web description. So the event profile name here, it will take on the actual name of that profile. What the profile of the web encoder profile we want. Again, we had discussed this in previous videos, channel 1, channel 2, along with what audio channels we want, as well as the web event profile, as we discussed in a previous video. And then what time to start this event at. Now, what's great about web events on the scheduling is you can start it at a different time than the encoder. Why this is important? Because now we can start an event not at the start position of the encoder, but at the time. So let's say we want our encoder to start at 7:30 in the morning because we want our campuses to receive a signal from our main campus. But our service doesn't start till 9:15. So we don't want to go live on the web until that hour. So what we'll do is we will start it at 9:15 and say our service is an hour long. We can do that there. And then the social media destination. So this web event, first off, just to make sure you understand, creates under the web events a new web event, not a social media stream. do that, you click the Add Social Media. We'll stream to an account. We'll create a new broadcast with it. We'll tell it that we want this to be public and we want it to be published. There is another option called Scheduled Event. This is a new option that hasn't been explored yet. And then we can create the description here of the actual event. Test, and done. And once we've created our web event and our stream, we just hit done. And you can see it's enabled. And all we have to do after that is say schedule. And with that, we've created a schedule event where our encoder will start at 7:30 in the morning and our web streams will start at 9:15 in the morning. There's also the opportunity to go in and create Sim Live events. So let's delete this event, create a new simulated live event. Simulated live events pulls from the web event profile, as we discussed in a previous video, where they're the active Sim Live. That is the web event profile that it will pull from, whatever is declared as Sim Live. So again, we'll create a test and we'll select the profile we want to replay. This here is important because we had talked about in the previous video about naming and also the description pieces. So this can take this name event using the schedule description or the web event name. So if we want it to be called Classic Special Services, or if we want to name it something special for this, like for Lenten season, we want to call it Good Friday or something, that is where we would be able to change that ability right there. So we can call it, if we did it this way, it'll be called Classic Special Services. It is enabled. We'll say this is not a reoccurring event, and we want to start it at 9 a.m. And from there, we want to push it to, let's say, Facebook this time. And what's important to note about Facebook is, and the social media destinations that we didn't go through in the last video, is it connects to your actual account. And from there, you can select any groups or pages that you belong to. We want to push it to our Grace Chapel Lexington page. And we want this to either be scheduled, published, or unpublished. So we'll go with the published. Description, test. And here we have the ability to cross-post because our Lexington page is connected to all the other Grace Chapel pages. We can cross-post across to them. Cross-posting just allows us to actually send a signal, the same stream, to multiple destinations through one means from the cloud, which is really nice. It's very helpful to utilize this function instead of having to create multiple Sim Live events that go to each page separately. And from there, we just hit create schedule. And as you can see, we've created a Sim Live schedule. Some examples of how we're currently using this. This is our ASL. We're only streaming to our ASL YouTube channel. And this is our Sunday morning worship service. Here we're actually only sending it to 4 of our pages. So we selected our Wilmington page. We're not sending it to our Lexington page because for this particular event, or this time of 9, we want to send our classic to our Lexington page, while the rest of the pages on Facebook get the contemporary service. Other things to note in the scheduling, there is a 1 minute delay from the time it starts on the schedule to the time that it's available to actually watch. So you can see here, our web event starts at 9:09 because we want it available at 9:10. So do note, as you schedule, you do want to give yourself a 1 minute buffer from the time you actually want the event to appear. And that'll conclude our scheduling. That is the basic setup of how you do it. Again, you get the ability to send encoder, start the encoder automatically, create a web event automatically, and then stream it automatically to your social destination, as well as creating automated simulated live events as well. Utilizing the scheduling function just takes a lot of the human error element out and allows for things to move automatically, which is really a huge benefit. If you had to do all this stuff manually, you'd probably go crazy. So in our next video, we're going to talk about analytics, and we'll have some other videos as well about adding users and venues.